Hello, I'm Jody Wolf, and you're watching Expoz on 4th of July, 2017. It is 1:20 a.m. in Birmingham, and what do we have? We have about 17 hours away to 4th of July fireworks here, which is 9 p.m. tonight. Topic: Hollow Earth Theory. Do you believe in a hollow earth? I do not. Until I valued some of the things that I said. Well, if I said these things, I said them for a reason. And one thing that I'm going to tell you that made me say, well, if they put it that way, then I may agree. And that is what's under the ice. Remember, I said that there's a temperate climate under the ice. This is what I heard. I don't know, but I've heard that. Well, if that's the case, there's some source of heat there. I said the other day, in 200 below zero, they build an igloo. Well, I take that back. The lowest recorded is 176 or either 174 below zero. I've heard 200, so maybe that's not correct. But in any case, the igloo that they build has like 2 feet thick on walls, 174 degrees at the coldest. But inside, it wasn't the 32 degrees I told you. It wasn't the 36. It's more up in the upper 30s to low 40s inside of that thing, while outside it's minus 120, 130, 140. 100-degree difference. So if that can be the case and the inside of this igloo is not melting, then yeah, I would say that under the ice in Antarctica, there could be a heat source and there could be a temperate climate there. Depends on how big it is. Now you consider if you punch a hole through Earth at the widest point, it is 8,000 miles, making the circumference 24,000. Now take it back. It's 7,000 and some. Anyway, the circumference is 28,000 at the widest and 22,000 or so at the narrowest. So, and that's what makes a mountain in Peru actually the tallest mountain on Earth, because it's at the widest point. But anyway, when you figure through the center of the Earth, it's a little over 8,000 miles from here to China, and or from here to wherever straight through is. At the narrow point, well, 6,000, 200, 300, something like that. So it's not out of the question for a 40-mile thick crust, if it's that thick, or maybe 400-mile crust, can actually have cavities in it that may be a void of 2 or 3, 4, 5, 10, 15, 20 miles. I wouldn't see that as a problem. And keep in mind, for years I've been talking about the, I'm going to draw a blank on it now, but the gunfight with the FBI and the things that was in New Mexico, and I'll think of it in a minute and I'll tell you. But anyway, the city that's built underground, that's 7 levels, and it's a UFO, an alien community. They have one level, somebody else has another level, somebody else has another. Well, then you get to the bottom, there are those things that they have made, and many are in cages. One level up is the processing, is those that just too horrible to let live, so they turn into food. One level up is where they create these beings at. So there's certain levels. You have one level that's where the aliens live. And there's a chain of command for the aliens, from the tall grays down to the little grays, and the Nordics, which is the ones that's in the Antarctica. So they're families down there. And I hear there's going to be a grand disclosure on all this. So when you start saying they have cities underground that was built and has been built for a long time, well, yeah, if you want to call that a hollow earth, I'll go along with that. But I do not believe a hollow earth as far as there is a sun there and there's a sea there. No, I disagree with that 100%. And let me tell you someone who is making a case on it, and it sounds very logical that it all could be true. Jason FAULL, if you go to Skywatch TV or go to Into the Multiverse with Josh Peck, YouTube, that is part of Skywatch TV, and look at his guest, Jason FAULL, he talks about it. And he's about to release a tape on it where he has 14 speakers. All of them claim to have evidence that there is parts of this earth that is hollow where things are living. Well, again, I can't see a sun. I disagree with that. I can't see an ocean. I disagree with that. Now, no doubt there's a lot of water because this earth was covered by water at one time. And prior to that flood, there was no oceans or seas on earth. There were lakes, there were rivers, but there were no bodies of water. So it all came out of the ground. And that's why I say today, rather than a global warming causing everything to rise, it'll simply seep back into the ground at points. The same holes it came out of are probably still open today where it'll go right back into. So a hollow earth theory, and you put it the way they put it, I agree with, but I'll not agree there's another, in other words, there's a void of 1,000 miles or 6,000 miles where there's a sun and there's an ocean and the seashore and a giant, millions of people live, and I disagree with that. I agree there's cities. I agree that in the Arctic, and just an hour or 2 hours away from the Arctic Circle, there's still a cloud cover over certain parts of it. And the guy that flew over it, Bird, swore there's temperate down there. There's green trees. It's under those clouds, and they're still there. He's also been into the Antarctica. He said the plane was pulled right on in, so that meant there was a pretty big hole and a pretty big place for a plane to fly around. But it doesn't mean there's a sun down there. Anyway, if you go to Into the Multiverse with Josh Peck on Skywatch TV and look up Jason FAULL, you'll be surprised, and he'll make it very interesting for you. You'll sit there and watch it with your mouth wide open, just like I did. Jody Wolf Expoz.